everyone. This is Exploring Energy in Everyday Life with your host, Rebecca Karchere and
Mary Von Ohlen.
And we are so glad you tuned in. We have an interesting and fun topic today. It's called forgiveness. And let's just break down that word into we're giving back to ourselves when we forgive. And we otherwise, well, let's just face it, nobody wants to get hurt and nobody wants to feel betrayed, but you know, this is humanity. This is the human drama that we live in. And so what we were just, Mira and I were just talking about is that this is about when you forgive somebody, it's a gift that you give to yourself and you get your power back. Because what you're saying subconsciously in a hypothetical is that this person, said person, is holding the keys to your power and your liberation. They're holding the keys to your health and your joy, etc. And that's not the truth. And so if you're going to hold unforgiveness towards someone, that's what you're doing. You're giving a story, a song and a dance about why you cannot be at peace right now. And there are people that have invested lifetimes to being victims, and have at it if you want to be a victim, but that's not me. And my business slogan, if you look, is called Health is Inner Peace. And inner peace is synonymous with forgiveness. And also it's also synonymous with truth. And the truth is that we always have our power within us, and we have the power to extend compassion even towards the jerk who hurt us. All right. So Mary, if you want to just kind of interject right there, and we'll just kind of see where this conversation goes.
Sounds good. You said some key words there, compassion. I think it's important to realize that in this day and age, a lot of people may have the awareness that forgiveness is essential. And you'll hear about the term radical forgiveness, forgive everything, everyone, always, however that goes, something like that.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that we can just immediately forgive. Ideally, yes. However, we need to acknowledge that it's a process. So sometimes if you think, oh, okay, I'll just immediately forgive that person, and you might think that and rationally, consciously state that, declare that, but your whole system may have not really integrated and got to a level where you can truthfully, effectively forgive that person. Right. So, you mentioned compassion, and we've talked about that scale of consciousness before. And to be able to get to compassion, if you're holding unforgiveness, you're down there in anger, resentment, self-pity, really low down on the scale, right, as far as feelings go and consciousness. And so we need to be able to, as we talked about in previous shows, consciously experience or reprocess whatever it was, whatever these things are that are coming up for us that are the reason, the story that we're telling ourselves why we are holding unforgiveness. Right. And then we can progress through that rather rapidly, but we need to at least acknowledge it and move through it to get to a place of compassion. Because then when we come to a place of compassion, we can actually say, okay, I can see that person was unwell, or they were operating from another place that perhaps I've been at before in a different way, and realize, again, we're all one. And so to hold the unforgiveness is hurting me.
Right. That's, yes, if we have to get to a place of compassion, because even the worst of atrocities, when you forgive, what you're saying is that, you know what, in these, who am I to say that I wouldn't act in the same poor behavior under the circumstances that person was operating from. So if you don't extend, that's what the compassion is. Another word is empathy. When you empathize and you realize that this person is actually me.
Right. Okay? And then you can separate the person from the behavior. So it's not that you're forgiving the behavior. It's not that you're saying, oh my gosh, that person did something awful to you. Let's say, God forbid, you were assaulted. It's not that you're saying assault is okay. It's that you're forgiving the person who clearly was wounded or operating from their own wounded place to then terrorize and traumatize someone else.
Right. You bring me to another point too. That's exactly what some of why somebody will not forgive is that they think, again, and it's not rational and it may not be conscious, They think that if they forgive that person, that they are condoning the poor behavior. So I always preface, you know, when I'm on a session with someone and we're working through X, Y, and Z, you're forgiving this situation, and by forgiving, what you're saying is, I accept what happened. I accept that happened, and that's the, you know, once you do that, you're accepting reality. Okay, rather than resisting the truth of the experience. Okay, so but it's separate from approving. I do not approve of your crappy behavior, but I accept that that's what happened. So it's making that distinction, not to confuse approval and acceptance.
Right, because if we took approval a step further, I think the fear is if we forgive them, that means we're approving of the behavior, which means we're also giving them the go ahead to continue on with it, which we're not. However, they're also not either continuing to do the behavior or not continuing to do the behavior based on whether we forgive them or not. You know, so again, it's about the power is in our court. What comes to mind too is there's a saying, or it's pretty common in the addiction recovery field, when we talk about staying in resentment and holding resentment against someone, it's like lighting yourself on fire and hoping the other person chokes on the smoke.
Right.
Or renting, you know, you've been renting space in your head, you know, they've been renting space in your head without paying for it. You know? And the truth is, usually the other person doesn't even know that you're so burned up about whatever it is.
Yeah, but they moved on. They were oblivious, and you're suffering over and over and over again, and it could be decades that, you know, said event happened. So it's really sad. And now, on the topic of this is, and then why are we talking about forgiveness? Because it's synonymous with health. Because it's the people who can't forgive that get these bizarro diseases. And it's all rooted in their own self-hatred, you know, or hatred towards other people. And, you know, how can I make such a bold statement? But look at Louise Hay's book. You know, if I go into anyone, if I do a reading on anyone, we're always going into the past. We're always going into usually a childhood event. Maybe an adult event, you know, but almost always in a childhood event. And there's someone that they need to forgive, usually a parent. It's almost, I put money on it. And what, you know, like I said, when you're I'm gonna, you know, go off on a little tangent, you know, a little off topic, but when you're at that age, your brain is still forming, and your perception is a little skewed, right? And Teal Swan talks about that in her book, The Completion Process, how important it is to go back into childhood and process through and heal the wounded child. That book is, you know, I just recommend that, because, you know, we're not, when you're an adult and your brain is fully formed, you're going to be more in your rational mind, and you're going to have more of an accurate assessment of what took place. And so it's very easy to hold resentment and grudges when you're younger, you know, because for that reason, and it's nobody's fault.
Mm-hmm. The other thing that comes to mind, you mentioned Louise Hay, and earlier today I was remembering there's a recording that she did that's a guided meditation that might be a good place for people to start if you don't know where to start. Just exploring this concept of, like you said, usually it's kind of, she refers to it as the inner child, so it's inner child work, but basically holding space for and acknowledging the wounds as at different ages, and then progressing into a place of releasing some of the unforgiveness. So there's a nice, I'll find the YouTube video, we can put it in the links, and or it might be on Amazon as well.
Good, yeah. And then the other thing is what I offer to people. I think it's called the Pillar of Forgiveness, and it's from the Avatar course, and I distribute that a lot because you know, it's like, that's easy to say, oh, you just need to forgive so-and-so, and it's just overwhelming. Where do you begin? And this booklet helps to break it down. There's steps, like you said, it's a process. And so that's a good resource. And then also another good resource is the compassion exercise, because it reminds us, it gets us into that place of, you know, I am, you are me, I am you, and I would have done the same stupid thing had I had the, you know, under the same circumstances. And so I need to let this go, you know, because it's only hurting me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The compassion exercise is really simple. It's another tool that came out of Avatar, and so you can get it. It's just a brief thing that it's almost like an affirmation or an acknowledgement. And like you said, it reminds us that we're all connected, and so it actually helps us move into that place of compassion pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm. And then this other aspect is that Marianne Williamson talks about that we're scared of our light, we're scared of our power, and I think when you get down to it, we hold grudges and we hold unforgiveness, because if we let all of that go and we totally forgave and we were at total peace, we'd have a new fear. Fear of all this power. Fear, oh my God, I'm happy and I have no one else to blame. Like, you know, what would I do with all this power and all this joy and all this peace? You know, then that's the real underlying stuff, and that's what she talks about in her famous quote. You know, when we have a finger to point, then we have our reason, our excuse to stay small. Okay, because once you let it all go and okay, there's no victims here, then you might find that you're scared of your power, and that, you know, you're afraid of failure or you're afraid of succeeding, and then it's a whole other, you know, another layer. But
if I'm responsible for the suffering that I've been feeling, what else am I responsible for?
Yeah. So that so it's actually, you know, it's easy to be a victim. It's a fantastic excuse to avoid your power, to not, you know, face your truth. And it's childish, you know, and I know I'm saying it in a simple way, and I know if we went through the laundry list of my life, of course there's things I need to forgive. We're all human. But, you know, when you finally get down to it, when you're faced with it, I'm like, you know, this is childish. I should let this go, because it's better, it's more advantageous for me to be happy. But you have to have that sense of self-worth to know that you're worthy of being happy. So that's another reason why people subconsciously don't forgive, is because they don't feel worthy of their joy or their happiness. They don't feel worthy, and so, you know, they have their story, their laundry list. This person hurt me in 19, you know, enjoy.
A lot to hang on to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But once when we talk about forgiveness and we talk about, hey, when I forgive, I'm in my power. So let me, you know, if anyone hasn't figured this out yet, I'm an Aries, and Aries are fire sign. I swear it's all about power and the solar plexus. Yes, we're all in our head, but when I think of the solar plexus, that's your assertion, your strength, you know, your sense of knowing who you are. And when I get that blunt with myself and I say, you know what, if I don't forgive this person, what am I saying to the universe? I'm saying this person is more powerful than me. And that's when I get so livid that I go into peace to, yeah, I'm telling you, I go into peace to spite that. It's like, no, right? It's twisted, but it works.
Whatever gets you.
I win. I'm in my power. I'm in my peace, and that's the Aries in me. But it works. So if anyone wants to, you know, that's the dialogue.
This is off topic. I recently learned, I think Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. Yeah. So astrologers, or Western astrologers, they consider the year actually begins when the Aries cycle begins. So that's next week, right? The 20th. It's like Happy New Year, astrologically.
Yeah. We're not going to be talking about Aries for the rest of this. This is about forgiveness. But but when you put it, power is so important to me. Power, peace, you know, having, being able to be fully capable in any circumstance. It's very important to me. And that's what drives me. It's like, I am not going to be a victim. And so, you know, I would encourage everyone, you know, and it's really based on personality, but that's how I operate.
Yeah, and once you experience that shift and you realize that it really does feel, it makes you feel lighter, and to let go of this, it's really an act of hanging on. I mean, the visual I get is you're walking around with, you know, piles of rocks in your pockets, you know, tucked into every which place that you can, and you're carrying this backpack full of resentments, all these things, and they're weighing you down. And so when you finally are able to release them, it literally lightens you.
Yeah.
It frees you, right? It's more freeing. So then you're able to flow and move more freely in the world. So,
right. And I don't know if we said this enough, but what you had said earlier too is you don't wait for the person that hurt you to you don't wait for that apology. You don't do that, because I was saying, I'm like, this person's consciousness, it may take them 10 lifetimes to get to a place where they're like, oh, I shouldn't have hurt you back. You can't wait for that. Again, that's how you get into your power. You say, no. I forgive you. And and that's important. Again, that's part of being in your power.
It is. So forgiveness isn't contingent upon what the other person that you perceive has harmed you. It's not contingent upon anything that they do. It's really nothing. It really has nothing to do with them, other than they triggered you to feel a certain way and then hang on to it. So certainly it's not contingent upon, not until they hear how I feel, or I have to rehash the whole thing, or until they come to their senses or ask for forgiveness. No, and you don't even have to have any exchange with them. It's really it's an internal process.
Right. So I mean, I could go on and on about this. I don't know how much time we have, but if you don't, here's another perspective about it. If you are holding unforgiveness, what you're also saying is that in a twisted way that it's a form of revenge, but you're saying that you're better than God. Now that's a stretch, but I don't know if you follow my train of thought. What you're saying, because what you're doing is you're creating separation with that person. You're saying, I'm better than you. I am the judge of, you've done X, Y, and Z. And that's the opposite of compassion and empathy. So that's what I mean by you're playing God by saying, I cannot forgive this person. This person is far outside of the realm of forgiveness. They have crossed the line. Like, who are you?
It's all ego. It's totally out of balance. It's not humble. It's not right-sized.
Right. Yeah. A lot of pride comes up. Right.
Yeah.
So like I said, I don't know. I mean, we go on. And what is the value of doing this? It's to liberate our souls so that we can be who we are supposed to be, rather than a song and a dance. Just think about, I just had this fun thought. Can you imagine we've passed on, we're in heaven, and we're reflecting back on our life that we just had. And, this is totally a cartoon I just have in my head. And it's like, and, you and your guides are reviewing, well, did you accomplish this? No, because this jerk did, is that an excuse? Really? Oh, so you didn't, no, because this one hurt me and that one hurt me. No. Right? You see it's like, you have to be on your path. And so the more love that you have for others and yourself, the more you'll get done, the more that you'll accomplish, the more the more you'll be healthy. And to me, that's what it's all about.
Absolutely. It just creates a stuckness. It's just another obstacle to being healthy and being happy, essentially.
Right. Stuckness is a good word, because when we have disease in our body, we have that, literally, we have a stuckness of energy, right? And that the act of forgiveness actually allows for energy to flow again. And it's very simple and basic. Yeah, that's what's happening.
It's a crucial topic when we're talking about healing and energy. There you have it.
Right. And another perspective, again, I could write a book about this. When you don't forgive, you're not fully present. You're in the past somewhere, and you're reacting to circumstances with a filter of the past. And so you're not fully present. And therefore you can't be in your power if you're not fully present.
Absolutely.
Now, and I speak about this from an idealistic perspective, because I'm not by any means saying that I have accomplished, I've forgiven everyone not at all. I'm saying this is the thought process, and this is the mechanism, and it's a constant, it's constant. There's always someone or something, so long as we're living and breathing, that we need to, I guess, forgive. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's probably the most potent tool we have. It's not necessarily a tool, but a process. It requires a process, like we said before, but the most powerful action when we get there that we can take for our own healing.
You just summed up the whole show right there, Mary. That is the whole show, really. I mean, I'm selling it in all these different ways, but that's the truth. It's better than any supplement. It's better than any medication. It's better than anything, is forgiveness, right?
Yeah. The opposite of it, staying in victim mode, is the perfect way to stay miserable and unhealthy in body and mind and spirit.
And that's it. I think we've summarized the core of life, and we can rest now. So that's it. You just said
that's really it. That really is it. And actually, we'll probably this will segue right into our next topic next week. Just a teaser for you is we'll be talking about theta healing, which is a spiritual modality that we use, and certainly forgiveness plays a role in that as well. So we'll be back next week when it'll be we'll be in the new year for Aries and everyone else. We will have surpassed St. Patrick's Day. I brought out Snoopy. I found Snoopy in his shamrock hat. Really, it's a 4-leaf clover, not a shamrock. And my shamrock plant, and I'm just throwing that in there for fun because you might be watching this video months from now and it's not relevant. However, I love shamrocks because my understanding of it is St. Patrick. It's not about a boozy parade in the States. St. Patrick used the shamrock as a symbol to explain, I think, kind of Father, Son, Holy Spirit, in the Catholic realm, but from the standpoint of it's one plant, one leaf that has 3 in it. So it's got that power, kind of body, mind, spirit. However you want to put that into a spiritual context, it's a spiritual symbol. So figured I'd bring that out today just for fun, since we're talking about forgiveness, a spiritual topic, and healing.
Yeah, the Trinity. I like it. Yeah, theta healing is a lot of fun. I teach it in module 1 of source energy technique, and I can't wait to discuss theta healing next week. So good deal.
Excellent. Well, have a great week, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. If you like what you heard, please comment whatever you think, thoughts or questions below the video. And if you haven't subscribed to Rebecca's channel, it should be on this one, and next week will be on my channel. Please subscribe to both our channels. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for watching. Have a great day, and forgive.